The galaxy had always whispered about Earth, that place. A Class 12 death world, a designation given to only the most unforgiving environments. The creatures that thrived there were not supposed to exist, much less prosper. Yet, against all odds, humanity arose, an anomaly among species. They were a contradiction. Violent yet kind, fragile yet unyielding. Above all, they adapted. But as centuries passed, those whispers softened. The humans were still strong, still clever, but they had settled into their role as peacekeepers, diplomats, and builders within the Galactic Peace Alliance. They were respected, even trusted, but the galaxy forgot what it meant for a species to survive on a world that tried to kill them every day. When the Xal'korr arrived, that ignorance was exposed. It started on the edges of the Alliance, distant colonies going dark. Transmissions stopped mid-sentence, first static, then silence. Scout ships sent to investigate vanished. Then came the first survivors, shattered fleets limping home, their crews hollow-eyed and muttering about the Xal'korr. A species no one had seen before, no one could bargain with. Hive-minded predators that devoured entire biospheres, consuming populations and resources alike. Their fleets were dark masses blotting out suns, each ship alive, organic, pulsating. They didn't wage war. They feasted. The Galactic Council convened immediately, a chaotic gathering of panicked voices. Species with weak constitutions trembled. Even warlike nations spoke in hushed tones. Humanity's representatives were there too, calm, composed. Some council members begged them to intervene immediately. "You're Deathworlders. This is what you do?" Others sneered, almost mocking. "The mighty humans, tamed by peace. Do you even remember how to fight?" But the humans were cautious. For all their strength, they had learned the cost of war. They argued for strategy, restraint, and unity, and organized defense. It was an admirable stance, one that showed how far humanity had come. The Xal'korr tore through it like paper. Entire species surrendered without firing a shot. Others fought and were swallowed whole. The Xal'korr didn't need threats or negotiations. They simply arrived and devoured. Systems fell within days, leaving behind only the husks of planets, their soil poisoned, their cities reduced to ash. And with every defeat, murmurs grew. What are the Deathworlders doing? At first, humanity fought with restraint. Fleet after fleet launched from Earth's colonies, sleek ships bristling with weapons. They fought brilliantly, better than anyone else. Humans could outthink, outlast, and outmaneuver their enemy. But they followed rules. They protected civilian populations at all costs, minimized collateral damage, and honored treaties even as their allies crumbled. The galaxy began to doubt. Maybe the humans were just stories, exaggerations of an earlier, more violent age. Maybe Earth's harshness had been tamed. Even as humanity bled alongside its allies, voices questioned them.
Some mocked.
Deathworlders?
No.
They've grown soft. But deep in humanity's ranks, something smoldered. A collective fury, ancient and primal, tempered only by choice. When the Xal'korr reached their worlds, that fire would ignite. The galaxy didn't know it yet, but their whispers would soon turn to screams. Humanity's response to the Xal'korr threat was swift and brutal. They threw aside any pretense of diplomacy and embraced the ruthless efficiency they had always kept hidden. Gone were the careful strategies, the restraint, and the attempts to minimize collateral damage. The galaxy would soon learn the full measure of humanity's power, and it was far more terrifying than anyone had imagined. In the days following New Hope's destruction, the war machine that had long been dormant roared to life. Shipyards across human-controlled space were retooled, their workers no longer crafting peaceful vessels, but building weapons of war, fleets that would dwarf any seen before. Human scientists, engineers, and tacticians, many of them veterans from conflicts long past, came together, bringing every ounce of their expertise to bear. New technologies were rolled out, not with the hope of preventing death, but to increase the efficiency of it. Every corner of humanity's vast empire mobilized, for they knew the stakes. Either they would wipe out the Xal'korr, or they would be wiped out themselves. The Xal'korr, for all their terrifying power, made the fatal mistake of underestimating humanity. The first few battles were shockingly one-sided. The human fleets, once thought to be small and outdated, turned out to be cunning, capable of moving through space with an agility and precision that took the Xal'korr by surprise. They had relied on brute force, on overwhelming numbers, but humanity's tactics were different. Humans didn't fight to overwhelm, they fought to win. They used guerrilla tactics, hit-and-run strategies, and innovative traps that turned the Xal'korr's own methods against them. The first major engagement saw a human fleet cripple a Xal'korr hive ship by launching decoy drones that mimicked the flagship's own biosignature. The Xal'korr fell for the trap, and the humans hit them hard with every weapon at their disposal. The galaxy watched, stunned and fearful, as humanity's true strength began to emerge. The Xal'korr may have been unstoppable on their own, but humans had something they lacked: adaptability. Human fighters didn't follow orders, they improvised. When one plan failed, they adjusted and struck again. Each time the Xal'korr pushed forward, humanity adapted faster, using their knowledge of war and survival to exploit every weakness, every vulnerability. At the same time, the human warriors were more than just soldiers. They were symbols of defiance, embodying the strength of their entire species. Stories spread across the galaxy of human captains and generals, each more determined than the last. A lone human fighter, surrounded by the enemy, flew his ship straight into a Xal'korr flagship, sacrificing himself to ensure its destruction. His name became legend across the stars. Another squadron of soldiers, pinned down in a Xal'korr-occupied city, refused to surrender. With nothing but their bare hands and their training, they fought back, holding the line until reinforcements arrived. Their courage became a rallying cry for all who had ever doubted humanity's place in the galaxy. But perhaps the most chilling revelation was the human use of bioweaponry, created not for warfare, but for survival on Earth. The Xal'korr may have been predators, but humanity had been predators first. When it came to taking down their enemy, there was nothing they wouldn't do. They turned the biological weapons that had once been used to defend their planet into tools of mass destruction, unleashing viruses, chemicals, and engineered plagues on Xal'korr strongholds. It was a brutal, ugly strategy, but it worked. The Xal'korr began to realize that humanity wasn't just a nuisance to be swatted away. Humanity was the predator they should fear. As each victory piled upon the last, the Xal'korr were forced into retreat. They had never encountered an enemy like this, one that could adapt faster than they could destroy, one that was willing to do whatever it took to survive. The once feared horde began to fall back, leaving behind desolate worlds and a growing sense of panic. The galaxy had watched humanity fight. Now they watched humanity win. The stories they had heard of Earth's past, of wars that had shaped humanity into something beyond the ordinary, were no longer distant myths. They were a brutal, undeniable reality. The Xal'korr feared humanity now, for they knew that the true power of the Deathworlders had been unleashed. And it was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen.